I'm going to introduce a different type of structure today called loops. And what loops allow us to do is loops allow us to execute the same code multiple times. There's a lot of times and a lot of reasons for this. But between loops and branching, if we combine the two, we can have all sorts of things going on in our code that are way more complex than what we've had before. So branching looked like the other diagram. This is what we might think of as looping. So looping says, okay, we're going to keep doing this same code over and over until we tell it to stop, and then it will move on with the program. So if you're a visual person, maybe that helps you sort of see what's going on. In terms of code, this is called a while loop. There are multiple different kinds of loops, but while is the simplest one. And it says, as long as the expression is true, in the same way we use an expression true or false for an if statement, is as long as that is true, then it's going to do that code. And maybe it's true forever. Sometimes it is. There is called an infinite loop, which is usually not a good thing in programming, because you don't want a program that just runs and runs and runs until your computer dies or until you're run out of power or until something crashes, right? You want to tell it a condition when it's going to end. But infinite loop is such a prominent programming term that the street address for Apple headquarters is called one infinite loop. So that's a programming term that we have happen a lot. And so while, if I take this code, right, and I say while true, this is called a while true loop. Now, in terms of an expression, right, true, is true ever going to be anything other than true? No. It's never going to change. It's impossible to change the value of true to anything else. So whatever this is, it's going to just print it forever. So here's my infinite loop. Now, in terms of the speed of our computer, it's hard to tell how fast it was printing that. But if we want to get a sense of how fast that loop is looping, what we can do is we can assign a counter to it. So let's say we're going to start with x, a value of x, a variable that's equal to 0. And each time this loop runs, we're going to use the increment operator to increase the value of x by 1. So this says we're starting out with x equals 0. As long as true is true, so forever, or until my computer dies, we are going to take whatever's in x at that moment, and we're going to add 1 to it. And then we're going to print x. So what's going to happen is we're going to start with 0, and each time this loop runs, we're going to add 1, and then we're going to print it. Because we're still in this loop right now, there's no break here. It's going to go back up to here, and it's going to say, okay, is it still true? Yep, true is still true. And then it's going to add 1, and then it's going to print x again. And it's just going to keep doing that over and over and over forever. But here we have something that's going to show us how fast that loop runs. Remember me saying that Python was like a slower language because it's interpreted at the beginning class? It's all relative, right? Just because I say it's slower doesn't mean it's slow. So by our standards anyway, I don't think you can count this fast, right? So we're already in the millions, right? 4 million, 5 million, 6 million. That's how many times it's looped already. So that's pretty fast. I don't think any of us can count that fast. So running on my computer, a single user program like this is going to run really fast. Later in the class, when we build a game, we're actually going to have to write code in our game that slows it down, or else the game will be so fast that it won't be playable. So we'll actually have to say, whoa, 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 pause for a bit. Don't go so fast, or else the game doesn't even work. So that is a loop, a while loop. Specifically, it's a while true loop. And we will use these throughout the class. A while true loop is actually pretty handy because it's just going to say, keep doing this until I tell you to stop. Yes, question. The code?
Yes.
Okay, so the while true loop is very useful. And don't forget, if you want to take a picture, that's fine too, but I'm going to have to keep moving on here. Go ahead. Do you want to take a picture of hers? Okay, cool. All right, thank you. So a while true loop looks like this. But remember, a loop doesn't have to, we don't have to use the word true here. We can use any expression that shows us true or false.